Good afternoon, Knicks Nation. Welcome to another edition of Knicks Dreams. This is a recap of the season we just had. We're going to chop it up. We're going to break it down. We're going to give our opinions, and then, we'll take it from there. With that being said, I want to drop it off to my main man, Dream, so he can kick it off, and then we can take it from there. Go ahead, brother, rock.
How you doing? Good to see you. It's been a minute. It feels like it's been a minute anyway, even though it's only been a week. It's been a New York minute. We'll call it that. So, disappointing for our guys as far as the playoffs go, performance-wise. I guess, however you want to phrase it, they ran out of gas. They just didn't show up. Whatever it was, they just didn't have it against a team that definitely got hot towards the end of the season and is still running that momentum straight through the playoffs. So kudos to that team. They got us, and I wish it would have turned out better. But, overall, I guess this time away gave us a chance to step back, absorb it all. Let it, wash through us and just figure out, okay, now that we've seen that, how can we go forward and what can we look forward to in the offseason and roster wise for this team as we go forward, hopefully improving on what we saw this season. So, that being said, I'll just toss it back to you real quick, get your early thoughts.
Yeah, look, overall, I know that we wanted to see them go further in the playoffs. But, they exceeded our expectation. I know I personally was disappointed because I felt they had opportunities to truly pull off this victory. And we're seeing those adjustments being made. I know when they played against Philadelphia in that first half, they were falling to the same old trap of just letting this kid just run and do his thing. And that's why in that first quarter, he scored 25 points. You know what I mean? But in the second half, they started picking him up on court. They started trapping him. They started making him turn the ball over. Yeah. We were talking about that during the next playoffs. We're talking about that, about how you had to take the ball out of his hands. And so, it's a learning experience for not only the team, but the coach as well. I'm hopeful that Tibbs learn from this because he has to reflect back and say to himself, where can I improve? Where do I need to make adjustments? Do I need to hire another coach that could take on those, additional tasks? Whatever you got to do, brother, just get it done.
Yeah.
But go ahead, brother. Go ahead, eat, man, eat.
Well, that's a good place to start. We can start with Thibodeau. Ultimately, this was his first year. And in his first year, he, basically signs on, but he just kind of handed a team. For the most part, it was the same team minus a couple pieces or with a couple pieces added in, I'll say, from last year. So, it's not really a team that he per se put together or, he tried to bring in his guys to help, the rest of the players get along with his style of thinking and his game plan ultimately, like by adding Rose and Gibson and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? We were able to pick up Burks and before the season started. So I'll give him. It's not necessarily a pass. It's okay. You did good season one, man. Our record was horrendous last year, and then we came into this year expecting some things to improve, but not this much. Like you said. So, he kind of spoiled us after a while, time after time watching his team. And every time, I'm watching the ESPN predictor, I think that maybe out of the 72 games, maybe they had us 4 times where it was like the percentage of winning before the game started was in our favor. So they didn't think much of us all year long, but nobody really thought much of us all year long until the end. And right at the end, we became America's darling going into the playoffs. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, man, the Knicks, good story. And so, maybe some of that affected the team too as well. Some of that pressure, that new pressure, like, whoa, the world's looking at us now. Before we just, representing our city and worrying about those eyes and that criticism. But now everybody's looking at us because we made it. And we're one of the 16 teams, that worked hard all year long and got in there and battled. You know what I'm saying? So as far as Tibbs goes, I enjoyed, what he brought to the team, the tenacity back in the squad, fighting for basically, at least season-wise. We're not going to worry about the playoffs so much because that's everybody's learning experience. But season-wise, he took this team from 18th in points allowed last year to number 1 in points allowed. That's You can't really knock the guy for that, 3-point percentage. We were in the 20s somewhere. We got it all the way up to 3, in the league. Even though we're not really considered, and you being a Knicks fan, I'm going to look at the roster and say I don't really look at this as a 3-point shooting team. So that's the even bigger astonishment about that. The fact that we got that high in the league in 3-point percentage shooting. So that was nice. And we still got some work to do with the scoring. We got to add scoring to the team because that was the one area we didn't really get off the ground with all year long. We stayed in the bottom of the 5 of the league. And, we basically crept from 101, 102, 107. It was nothing really to write home about. But, that being said, I'll leave some food on the plate since you just got home. I know you're hungry. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So, this is the thing. I mean, this year, definitely, we give them kudos, especially during the regular season, for really turning around this team. Defensively, and even to some extent offensively, even though it was very limited. But, they did make certain improvements. They were in the bottom tier offensively overall, but their 3-point shooting got better, which was a surprise. That being said, you also have to take into account that we snuck up on people this year. Nobody expected us. So, again, it's easier when you're not the hunted to be able to improve because nobody got you on the radar screen. They don't take you serious until after the fact. Come next year, now we're all going to be on the radar screen. So teams are going to take us more serious. So it's going to be interesting to see how we play next season. You know what I mean? Again, we also have to take into account that there'll be changes. There'll be new players on the team. So it's going to be interesting to see how those dynamics play themselves out or bear themselves out throughout the season. But yes, I'll take it. We went from 21 wins to 40 wins in the regular season, or was it 41? 41?
41.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a tremendous turnaround. That says a lot. Got to give them credit. Again, regular season credit. Now, one thing that I can't give Tibbs, the benefit of the doubt in terms of the playoffs is this is not his first rodeo. He's been in the playoffs before. He's been in the playoffs with Chicago when he was head coach. Okay? He's been in the playoffs with Minnesota 1 year. And then he was in the playoffs as an assistant coach with Doc Rivers in Boston when they won the championship. So, although, yes, you're right in terms of he came to the Knicks, it's a new team. He's trying to get them to understand the culture, his philosophy, and the whole 9 yards. Still, coaching is coaching when it comes time for the playoffs. It's about adjustments. Now, yes, you're going to be limited based on your personnel, but the stuff that we're talking about is basic, strategies, which Doc Rivers made that adjustment in the second half. And that's when Trae Young was turning the ball over. You know what I mean? They were trapping him, and they were forcing other guys to try to beat him, with the pass. And that's something that Tibbs should be able to do at this stage of it. He's not a rookie coach.
Yeah.
And he has personnel to do that. He didn't play enough players. He stuck with his core 8. That's the criticism. So I give Tibbs an A+ for the regular season in coaching. Yeah. In the playoffs, I'm sorry, bro. He gets the F. He's getting some mama's cooking. He's getting some mama's cooking up here. I'm just keeping it real, bro. I gotta keep it honest. I'm just keeping it honest, brother. I gotta grade him based on the season. Regular season, A+. Playoffs, F. Well, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Rob, man. Give us your take.
Well, I'm laughing because I feel like you grade him like Julius Erving's grading dunk contest. You like this? I got a 2. What's he talking about? But yeah, it's good. It's fine. Like I want it to be tough because in order to keep this going in the right direction, we got to give them constructive criticism and tough love. They need that. Like, we got to be honest with ourselves, because all year long, I think, we push this team to be, as good as they'll show us, and they show us from time to time they want to be better. That they even outplay their own talent, and so that's another place we got to start. We got to get stars. We got to get real stars. So we had good stars compared to what we've had in the past, and we're trying to develop another one in Barrett, but those guys got to come along, and when it came down to crunch time, it was like our stars, they failed us, aside from not making any coaching adjustments on the floor that we always criticize Thibs for. If it's not a game to game thing, it's not going to happen in game. But on top of that, it's like, I don't know that he really had the real weapons to deploy, to make those adjustments. Also, any adjustments he made affected the rest of the team, in big picture. Like, he tried to move Derrick Rose to start a lineup, but then that hurts the backup, secondary players, and when the second unit comes on, and people that rely on Derrick Rose's vision and his court awareness. Like, a couple of times I seen it happen where Obi, they got a steal and Obi's coming down, but it's Burks that has the ball. It's Burks. I know you're excited. So it's Burks that has the ball, and he's not looking. He's not looking to see him, So basically, I gotta address this guy. I'll be right back though. But
Yeah, I see King RJCA TTV. I appreciate your comments. It's all good. Atlanta deserves all the kudos. They did what they had to do against the Knicks, and they proved themselves in Game 1 against Philadelphia. Again, it's a series, so we'll see what adjustments will be made from game to game. But yeah, it's all good, man. And if you want to jump in and join the conversation, jump in. Don't just do it in the chat. You're welcome to join the panel discussion and chop it up with us. So it's all good, man. I appreciate your comments. And yeah, definitely. Atlanta did what they had to do. Philly, they made the adjustments. They made them late. I was surprised that they started the game so passive on Trae Young. They put Green on him, which Green, he's an old guy, man. He's a stiff. He can play D, but not necessarily picking somebody up on the full court. The guy that was able to pick him up is Simmons, but they call quick fouls on Ben Simmons. But Ben Simmons, can make him turn a little bit and make him work. So I'm curious to see how that plays itself out in the next couple of games. Yes, this kid Trae Young is very crafty. He got speed, but you gotta deny him the ball. You start playing D by denying, not by letting him get the ball and then playing D. No, you deny him getting the ball. Force other guys to come in and bring the ball up, and then you change the dynamics. But if you're gonna give him the rock, of course, it's all good. He's gonna rock, and he's gonna do his thing. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes along. I ain't hating. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just calling it how I see it on both sides of the ball. And I give credit where credit is good. Credit is you got to give it to the kid. The kid's doing his thing. He's definitely doing his thing. We'll see. Go ahead, Dree.
Yeah, so basically we were just talking about trying to add to the team and basically what they gave us versus what we expected, and nothing to complain about, and then addressing basically I was going over some of these teams that went out, and I was talking about we need to add real stars because we give our guys credit for battling hard, but when it comes to playoffs, we're seeing the difference between guys who get relied on and no matter what they're putting up their 20-30 points versus our guys didn't do that, so we need somebody who's even better than what we have. And look at some of the teams that already bowed out of the playoffs. You got the Lakers, LeBron and AD, and you got Luka and Porzingis is out of there already. You got Butler and Adebayo, Tatum and Brown is out of there. Ja and Valanciunas, Dame and CJ, Russ and Beal, and for us, I just threw in Rose and Randall. So you start to look at those teams, and we need to increase our talent to match some of those guys because they're bound.
I'm sorry to interrupt, bro. I don't like to do this, but you slipped a quick one there. You said, okay, Rose and Randall, but you forgot Barrett. Don't let your father hear you. Don't let your father
No,
hear
because
you.
I was just using the
I'm
people
messing
that
with
showed
you,
up a
Dream.
little bit in the playoffs.
I'm messing with you, Dream. I'm messing with you.
Riddler, boy, he really showed out, right? He really lived up to that name. Boy, I was ready to retire that at one point, but I need to resuscitate that name, that nickname, right? Because boy, man, that 9 turned into the question mark all over the playoffs, every game. So
Brother,
but what you're gonna do, it is what it
brother,
is.
but
Yes.
that's
The good
that's
thing is,
that's what I have been saying all in the regular season. I said, listen, don't give me the averages. Give me which opponents he's putting those numbers up against. If it's the top team, the higher team, the top tier teams, I'll give them the
yeah,
credit.
exactly.
Not the G League teams, because you can patch your stats there. But let's leave that alone, because I know your dad. He gets hot.
Yeah.
He gets hot when I work him. Go ahead, keep rocking, brother.
Yeah. And it's okay. And it's okay because a lot of the personal plans that I think the Knicks should go attack and address, they still include leaving Barrett on his team to develop, right? Because he's probably the best developmental player that we've had in a long time. Like he looks like he has the potential to be something special. Man, we just got to get that out of him somehow in the right time, So but we've the good thing about it, like in the past, we haven't had any money, and this has been, we played years. I'm sorry to say that, but like it's not been in a place that where anybody wants to go. Now people are looking at this as a place they might want to come, and we have the money to entertain, a couple of the contracts. And the first thing that they did, which was very nice, is that they saved themselves a lot of money if they want to. They can still address the point guard position in the off season if they really want to go after Ball or somebody like that. They have $20 million to toss out, but they took only $4 million per year of that. You know what I'm saying? To sign this kid, Luka Vildoza. So everything I've seen about him is he's mostly just been like passing highlights and things of that nature, and some scoring stuff. So I don't know how that's going to translate to the actual NBA once he gets here. But it's nice that they're already taking the right moves to try to address the position. If he hits and he lands and he's good, then they did it. They got it on the cheap, and they can use the rest of the money that they were going to use to address the same position anyway in other areas to either throw more money at guys so they make sure they bring them back, because everybody definitely wants to try to bring Derrick Rose back. I think he'll come back for the same money, but if Vildoza does hit, then you're saving money that you can toss a couple extra dollars Derrick Rose's way. Why not? He earned it. You know what I'm saying? So those kind of things, and so we'll see. I'm hoping this kid does hit. We wanted, once we got him, everybody was like, "Oh, throw him into the playoffs." I'm glad they didn't do that, because already we weren't really living up to the expectations that New York had. I wouldn't have wanted him to come in and fail in any way in this setting. Set him up, get him used to the offense, get him comfortable with the players, bring him in to be in the best possible position to succeed at that point guard position, because what we need is somebody that opens up the floor, and that's the one thing that he does do. He rebounds. Like when he gets the ball in his hand off a rebound or a quick pass, he's turning to look. And I was talking to somebody about mentality. Some people, when they get the ball in their hands, they have the mentality like, I got to break my man down. Other people get the ball in their hands and they have the mentality of who's running the floor. And he's a who's running the floor mentality kind of guard. And that's what we need more of. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a knock on the guys that look at their people like a Quickly. He's I'm going to break my guy down. That's fine too. But we need on this team a guy who opens the floor up more than anything, initially, because the two areas we definitely needed to address is point guard and center. Take it away.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, and I want to add a player that would definitely fit that mold. In addition to this guy that we signed is Lonzo. Lonzo also looks down court. He's not looking to break you down off the dribble the minute he gets the ball. The minute he gets the ball, he's looking down court and he's passing that rock. And that's why, I would love to see Lonzo come here. I think this offseason is going to be the most pivotal season for the Knicks, because they don't have anything that can hold them back from making solid moves. They got draft picks, they got salary cap, they got a winning record. You know what I'm saying? So they have the flexibility to bring in solid free agents and or draft well and or make a solid trade. I don't want them to sit on stuff like what happened with Danny Ainge in Boston. he sat on too many first round picks, and it didn't amount to anything. You know what I'm saying? And that
Anything. I
cost
mean,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, chip wise, it didn't amount. They got some nice players out of it. I would love to have a Tatum or a Brown on the Knicks, developing the way they are. But I get exactly what you're saying. It's like that's the one thing I fear too, and I don't want Knicks fans to have that same mindset either. Like, oh no, well we have these draft picks and we can keep drafting and stuff. That's great for when you're in the lottery. We're not in the lottery anymore, guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're drafting in the 20s now, and Dallas made a run. So that pick that we have from him, that's right in the 20s also. It's not top 10. And until this last year, we didn't really show as a team that even when we was in the lottery, we know how to pick. So I get it. It's a good thing to want to go that style of drafting and developing players. But when you're in this position, and we have a surplus of draft picks, we have 4 draft picks this year, not just 2. Like, we have the extra Dallas pick in the first round, and then we picked up in some trade another second round pick. So we got 2 firsts and 2 seconds. So that was part of my idea, like, toss that out towards Minnesota and try to get Towns, you know what I'm saying? Like, entice them a little bit with a couple of players we got left, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that kind of a blockbuster thing, and I get some resistance from the conversation sometimes, and that's fine. I just want options. I want people to start thinking about the things we could do. Go ahead.
Listen. You're setting it up the right way. That's the way to make moves. You're always gonna have naysayers. You're always gonna have detractors. But if you're solid with your convictions, stick with your convictions. You have very solid proposal, draft possibilities. The only variable factor there is, obviously you have a change in ownership, because now I believe A-Rod is going to be part owner there. And knowing A-Rod, he's going to want to keep a marquee player like Towns on that team. So that's the wild card in this equation. Now, as a Knicks fan, I'm with you, bro. I'm 100% with you. If we got to package a couple of draft picks, because you're going to bring a kid like Towns in here, I make the move. I'm not thinking twice. But I'm also looking at the flip side of it. If I'm A-Rod, why am I going to give up my franchise? I'm just saying, those are the variables. Yeah. But as a Knicks fan, brother, I'm with you. I'm definitely. I truly think you package those draft picks to get a guy like Towns. Unless you did your homework so well that you could draft at the lower part of that first round and get a gem. And that we don't know until that guy actually comes into camp, plays regular season. We don't know. We know Towns. We know that's a proven commodity. Proven. Yeah. But these draft picks, they sound nice, but you really, now again, they revamped their front office. They got good scouts, eye for talent, and all of that stuff. But still, if it was up to me, I go for Lonzo and I get Towns up in here. Those 2 spots, if we got to package a couple of guys and draft picks to make it happen, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
So no, I agree, absolutely. Basically, that you don't want to get stuck like Boston got stuck, and not that they got stuck. They let the moment pass them when they could have turned those extra draft picks and capital that they had into Anthony Davis, and that was what they needed to do. And they held back off of that and didn't do that, and they regretted that. They regretted that because now what they did was they ended up coming full circle into the playoffs again to play against Brooklyn, who they, originally set up their trades, and Brooklyn took their lumps for a couple of years. But once they started to build that team, then they made the leap. And it was like, those guys signed up because they wanted to go there. I get that's part of it too, Kyrie and KD, but once they got those 2, they also didn't hesitate to pull the trigger on going to get Harden once that became available. So you have to explore those things. And I'm not saying we got to keep pace with the Nets in any way and stuff like that, because honestly, all that did was really put them 7 wins ahead of us when everything was settled in the end, right? They had 48 wins and we had 41 wins. So, that being said, we got the most out of our guys, but we do want to keep improving. And Towns, like you said, is a proven commodity, man. I get kickback a lot, but it's hard to kick back on a guy that he's been in the league in the West, right? Against those guys in the West, and he's putting up 25, 11, and 6. That is amazing numbers. And career-wise, if you match that up to the three centers that we have collectively, their numbers don't even hit that. They barely hit that with Noel, Mitchell Robinson, and Gibson. If you add up all their points, they're about.
You froze on me, Dream.
25. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you froze. No. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Okay.
I'm back now. Okay, so yeah, his career 25, 11, and 5, or 6 almost, assists also. And in addition to that, I was talking about how basically, sometimes we get locked into this offense how it runs where Randall's bringing the ball up the floor. The problem with Randall bringing the ball up the floor is like there's no defender that's picking him up past half court. They're not doing three-quarter defense on him. So basically, you're starting the offense 4 on 5 every single time. And for an offense that lacks, a dynamic element to get going, fast until the second unit comes in, because they seem to be pushing the ball up and down the floor. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's really, we need to get away from that. And if you want to, rotate guys, and if they start pushing the ball down the floor and Towns comes up late, and being able to pull from the 3, not just talk about the centers that want to play that game here, like Robinson says all the time. He actually does have a 3-point shooting game, So, all those things is, I kind of feel like, man, it's like, it should be like a surefire thing. I get what you're saying, why Minnesota want to do that with new ownership and stuff. So that's basically where we're at, is trying to give them enough where they feel good about it, you know what I'm saying? Or a package of players and draft picks and things of that nature. And basically what I'm saying is, like, for a player of that stature, we have the assets to pull the move off if, we can make this bond up with Minnesota and give them things that they would want. They're trying to improve their team too. They got a lot of big guys and athletic players over there that they're just starting to go, but they need more. Yeah, they got Anthony Edwards. He's starting to pretty much show that he is going to be a solid player because he's put up a couple 40-point games and, highlight dunks and stuff like that on people. So he's there. He's for real, and, and some of their younger guys down low, they have to develop. But part of it is I think Towns is going to be wanting to come back home. He's from New Jersey. That's the other part. That's why I pushed that trade out there in the first place, because, he had personal issues going on. And I think he just wants to get out of there, and it's a good time to get him. I liken it back to when Boston got their hands on KG. And look what that did for that team. All of a sudden, they became super dynamic, and they want to chip. And I'm not saying the Knicks, that's going to happen to the Knicks, but I think it's a similar type, dynamic to a trade that would do for us. Go ahead.
Well, this is the thing. Those moves that were made in Brooklyn, okay, that was very creative. And you got to give a lot of credit to this guy, Sean Marks, who's the guy or the player, president of, basketball operations and so forth and so on. So he came, he was he was in San Antonio. He came to the Nets. They didn't have any draft picks. So what did he do? When he first got onto the Nets, the way he tried to rebuild his team was he forced, or whenever he made any trades and any teams wanted to dump salaries, they had to provide a number 1 pick in addition to absorbing those salaries. So now, okay, he had a bloated contract, but he had a number 1 pick to go with that. So every trade that he made for the first 2-3 years, he was loading up on those contracts packaged with first-round draft picks. So that gave him assets to start being able to negotiate, to make other moves with those draft picks. That's how he eventually was able to bring in a Harden or trade or try to sign a Kyrie. Or I don't think Kyrie wasn't a free agent. He was with Boston, right? Was he a free agent? Yeah, I think he was a free agent.
No, he was a free agent. No, he a free agent. He left. He
was a free agent.
He told Boston that he was going to stay and sign at the end of the season. And he floated out.
And then KD, they did make a trade with KD.
Water bottles at him now.
They made a trade for KD. Because he did a sign and trade.
No, KD signed also. KD was also a free agent.
I think Golden State ultimately did a sign and trade.
Did they get something?
Because they didn't want to lose him for nothing.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
because they sent Russell over there or something like that.
Yes.
They did ultimately do the sign and trade.
Yeah. Well, initially, they were going to lose him for nothing, but as part of trying to get something out of the trade, they getting in return for it, they did a sign and trade. But the way that was done is because leading up to that move, they had the Brooklyn Nets had the assets, the number one pick. They were able to make those moves, and they had salary cap room too. You know what I mean? So they were very smart in doing that. And now we have to see if our front office is going to be able to pull the trigger, because they didn't pull the trigger during the trade deadline. Okay, we'll give them a pass. And now you really got to improve the team to that next level, and you have all this flexibility sitting on your hands is not going to cut it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take some bold action. Right now, they've taken some safe moves. They made safe moves. That guy Luka from Europe, that's a safe move. They didn't lose anything in the process. Pell, another safe move. They didn't lose anything in the process. You know what I mean? But now this season, to improve this team, you got to take some risks. So we don't see what they're all about.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because you have to still look at the teams around where we are, right? So really, I'm going to circle these three teams: Atlanta, Miami, and Boston. Atlanta beat us just now, right? We see how under McMillan, how they changed and they picked up a little bit of defensive swag, and their shooting came along. We always knew from the beginning of the season, because we said, hey, this is a team we need to watch that's moving. We need to move with them, right? And I'll even throw Charlotte in the world, Charlotte of the world, because as they develop as a team, I think they'll be moving into us, right? So I'll include those teams, but Atlanta beat us, and they didn't even have a full strength team. Like they were still missing Cam Reddish, and he's one of their young budding stars who can score 20 a game. So that's another dynamic that we have to now match. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to continue to improve to match that team, because going forward now they're this year they're just picking up like, oh, we can play against we can play with the big boys. We beat New York, that was the best defense. Now we're going to Philly, we're giving them hell, and then after that, if we can get through Philly, we're gonna see Milwaukee or Brooklyn, most likely, right? So they'll be back in New York again. They feel good about being in New York. That's not going to change for them. So they're going in the right direction, is what I'll say, and I'm happy for them. But I want the Knicks to continue to do the same thing, go in the right direction. Don't all of a sudden pull the brakes and pump brakes. Like you said, they were making safe moves and stuff like that. But you have to do something anyway, because like 3/4 of your current roster is going to be set free because of contractual, agreements. They're all done on 1 year things. There's only a couple people here, beyond this summer, So and that's the core of our team. So a lot of that money frees up. So we do need to improve. And and like we said, we have the money. We already made the one move for Vildoza. We'll see what happens with him. If he brings that skill set to the team. I don't know what he looks like defensively. I haven't seen anything on him defensively. So that kind of like makes me step back a bit until I'm ready to jump in the boat and say, yeah, this kid is going to be okay, So mostly passing, but I like what I see from his passing, because it reminds me of balls passing, like get the ball and kick it down the floor, that kind of thing. So, if he doesn't pan out, then that's fine too. You still have money left to go attack, players and stuff like that in free agency, and
Froze.
Am I back? Yeah. I'm back or no?
Yeah, you're coming back.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the reason I'm talking about this now is because Ian Begley had put out a story about it and stuff like that. So that's a credible source now.
What did he say? What did Begley say?
Well, he said that they're looking into to exploring a trade option for him. You know what I'm saying? To see if that's possible.
The Lillard trade? You're talking about the Lillard trade?
Yeah, for Lillard. Before when they talked about this, I would always say no, because to his core, My man was born in Oakland, in the Bay Area, so he's always stayed there. No matter how good a player he's been, he turned down like some D1 East Coast teams that wanted to get him in college to recruit him, and he went to Weber State just to stay out west. Then he got drafted by Portland. That's right there, Oregon, right above Cali, Bay Area and stuff. Like so. He's always been that West Coast. I like the Bay Area. I want to stay around West Coast type of team. So I would have said, nah, he wouldn't come to the Knicks. But after this year, man, he's talking, hey man, maybe we need to get really better, or I need to get out of here situations. So that's another thing that the Knicks are definitely trying to explore, at least explore it. I think it would be great. Stay in Times Square, that would be awesome. But what you gonna do?
This is the thing about these kind of rumors, especially. Usually when you hear these trades, the trades that usually happen are the ones you don't see or hear coming. Okay? Yeah. And what I've learned in my my timeline, following the Knicks, working there, I worked at the Garden many years ago. That's how I learned the business side of the NBA, but also in analyzing the media here. The media always has these pipe dreams, okay? Maybe it's because they're trying to sell newspapers, and they're trying to get, nowadays you call them clickbait as opposed to selling newspaper, because people are clicking online to the story, and then, as many people click on your stories, that shows, you got a following or people interested in what you're writing. The thing I think about the Damian Lillard, okay, I could see that maybe he's a little frustrated because they haven't gone far enough. I could get that. I could see there's some credibility to that. However, I don't think the Knicks are exclusive to their interest in Damian Lillard. I think there may be many teams that are watching that situation as well. But I don't know. And I'm not saying that Ian Begley is an incredible source. I'm not going to say that. But I'm just saying, I'm just going to wait and see. Wait and see how this stuff plays out. I would be pleasantly surprised if he did end up with the Knicks, but I'm not going to hold my breath waiting for it to happen. Because oftentimes, those trades that get the most publicity don't happen. And this is getting so much traction. And I don't know if that has to do with the media market or whatever the case may be, but I'm going to reserve judgment on that. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to have a guy like Damian Lillard on our team. I'm just saying in the years that I follow NBA basketball, specifically the Knicks, and in this particular media market, it's very rare that you're going to get that kind of guy that get that kind of buzz. The most recent guy that had that kind of buzz, and we did end up getting, was Carmelo. But again, Carmelo is a New York guy, or at least an East Coast guy, okay? Because he grew up in Maryland, he went to Syracuse. He's more connected to New York than a Damian Lillard. Lillard, like you said, his roots are in the West Coast, Oakland.
Yeah.
Now he's in Oregon, playing in Portland. So I think that carries a little bit more weight, even though, yes, we present a market where you can make a lot of money because of Fifth Avenue, Times Square, and stuff like that. But this game is so global nowadays, that hasn't been a reason why players have been coming here.
Yeah. Yeah, it hasn't played into it as much. You're right. So yeah, and because of all those factors, I think that's why I felt like the fact of coming home to play, even though he's from New Jersey, that's why I went the Towns thing, just to wrap that part up. You know what I'm saying? Like rather than the
that one has more traction. The Towns has more traction. Yeah, the Lillard one, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. You know what I'm saying? I would love it because he's still one of my favorite players, and his attitude fits this type of team, you know what I'm saying? And even though he's a shooting point guard, he still does look for guys all over the floor. He still puts in enough assists in it, So, it's great. It's really, what else can you say? But I do have to get out of here in a little bit, so I wanted to do this.
We'll close it out, brother. We'll close it out, man. Close us out, brother. Close us out.
I got to retire some guys out today, because it's the end of the season. So we started out retiring Rivers, right? Some guys are probably gonna hopefully end up seeing get out of here in the off season. Sorry, guy, you gotta go too. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna come around here. What do we got here? Hold on, I got another guy here. Pull this guy down too. Oh man,
who's that?
Gave us everything you had. Elf, you gave us everything you had.
Alfred.
Gotta go. And this guy, I kind of hope he does, get a chance to come back. But if we improve our team shooting, then it'd be sad to see my man Bullock hit the tables and not come back. But to make the team better, we might have to sacrifice, a couple of these guys, or some of these guys just may end up leaving the team, But I wanted to say thank you for your service to this team. You gave us something that we haven't had in a long time as far as Knicks fans. And it's like, we really appreciate your effort. And how, if the man tried to run you on the bench for the last couple of games, don't worry, Elf, you'll be back in the league, right? You know what I'm saying? And Bullock, if you just ran cold at the end of the year, don't worry, bro, you'll be back in the league, bro. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get better. So if it comes to your expense, I'm sorry, but we'll see you somewhere down the line. We'll still be there next year. And, for the guys that are going to be here and continue to grow, continue to get better, thank you for coming out this season and giving everything you gave, because it was definitely an eye-opener for us. It gave us a reason to watch games past halftime most nights, and, which hasn't been the case for a couple of years. And those wins, man, that run of the 9 games, that was crazy. The West Coast swing was beautiful. That was wonderful. And seeing how this team, the one thing we did say about Tibbs, seeing how their defense really came back, and seeing how his influence on the team was basically, magic this year for us. You know what I'm saying? We finished 4th, man. That's amazing. We got to give big credit and a thank you to what he did, what he got out of the guys. Now we want to see more. We want to see you do better, because you know how to do better. So please get that out of the guys that stay. And for management, man, get us some more. We want more, man. This is the big apple. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a thing as far as jersey-wise goes. I'll just throw this little tidbit in there. Because we made the playoff, we might get another City Edition jersey. So keep your eyes out for that next season, because I'm excited for anything new. And I want to see an off color. Why not? Throw a random color in there. It doesn't always have to be orange and blue, and black related. You know what I'm saying? It could just be something off color. Plenty of teams have a 3rd or 4th colors jerseys and stuff. So, be creative. Turn back to you, brother.
All right, man. With that being said, we're going to close out this episode. We'll probably pick it up, closer to the draft and stuff like that. And
yeah, absolutely.
We want to thank all the fans that followed us, and of course, we want to thank the Knicks for having a tremendous season. And of course, we still want some more. We know there's room for improvement, and this is going to give them that desire, that hunger to go out there and improve the team and be better next season. The Bullock factor, the one thing about Bullock, I think Randall and him have a chemistry. So I think Randall's going to want to keep him on the squad. He's gonna be influential in trying to keep him here, because they developed that 1-2 chemistry, 1-2 punch when they were on the floor together. So that's the only one guy that I think out of the 4 that you brought up that I think may have a chance to stick around. With that being said, we're going to close this out as we always do. We always say at the end of every episode, once a Knick, always a Knick.
Always a Knick.
All right, man. All right, we'll be talking, brother.
We'll get together. We'll schedule that draft show and we'll get it going. Hopefully, July 1, I think, opens up maybe free agency or somewhere around that time. So, right after the playoffs, we can look forward to hearing some noise, hopefully, and we'll be able to chop it up with some good news. So, salute to you. Thank you for doing this podcast in the first place. It was a great thing, and I enjoyed it even more than I thought I would when I started it. So, salute to you. Have a good one.
Thank you for carrying it, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. No problem, bro. Take it easy.
All right. Take care.